So my name is Lanre Ogundipe. I'm the CEO and co-founder of PaveHQ. Pave is an education technology platform focused on cross-border education. Cross-border education being us trying to help students who are trying to get their education outside of Nigeria, maybe in Africa or other countries outside of the world. So I've been in the education sector for about 13 years now. We've been doing different things around education technology. Started off by trying to build technology for schools, try to help schools who are trying to integrate technology into their school system. We still do that, but primarily our goal at Pave is to ensure that we're able to bridge the gap in helping students get quality higher education. So it's more of a higher education platform. We do service also other strata as well. So for me personally, education is a passion. It's something that I've been very, very passionate about. Something that I've always focused on, or I've been in the education sector all my business life. And I feel like there's a lot of work that still needs to be done within the sector. And we're trying little by little to see how we can influence the sector as much as possible. So because why did we do this? So we looked at the Nigerian education system. Pave was set up as a platform to help not just for education, for also careers as well. We set it up basically because we realized that one of the reasons why we're not seeing the full advantage of our students here in Nigeria is because our universities cannot take as much students as are writing the final exams, and there are so many limitations to helping students get into university. For example, 2 million students write JAMB, average of 2 million students write JAMB every year, and our universities can only take about 750,000 year on year. So what happens to the rest of the people, right? We need to find options for them because our universities cannot just accommodate them, right? And those people would now stay back home, wait for another 1 point something million people that will be writing JAM the next year, and all of that. So that's the real reason for number one, unemployment, employability of our Nigerian youth. And we looked at it like if we know that our universities cannot take all the people that are graduating, let's give them other options, in other places where they'll be able to actually, take this advantage. Say, for example, if you don't school in Nigeria, you can decide to school in Ghana, you can decide to, and it's not just even about the education or even just the quality of the education, it's also the exposure for the children as well, because history has told us and research has also told us that exposure really helps in development, in student development. So their ability to be able to study in different countries, so it's not just for them to leave Nigeria, it's also for them to practice other cultures, expose themselves to best practices outside of the country, and all of that. So the platform helps for placements into universities, it helps for exchange programs, it helps for internships. You can also access student loans, study loans on the platform, and quite a number of other things as well. So on the Nigerian side, what we're doing is we're currently in conversations with the authorities locally. We're trying to drive internalization in Nigeria. We believe that, there was a time in Nigeria where foreign students, we had foreign students in our universities. We're trying to bring back those days where, first of all, we realized that a lot of young people actually want to come to Nigeria. Outside of the tourism space, there's something called education tourism. So we're trying to see how we can increase education tourism in Nigeria, and that's one of the main reasons why we're building this platform as well. So it's not just to take people out of Nigeria. There's also a lot of value for our own students locally in Nigeria. The value from helping students get placed into internship positions, that's Nigerian students currently schooling in Nigeria. There's that value for them. There's also the value in terms of helping Nigerian universities internationalize. So we're trying to build an international acclaim to Nigerian institutions. So why will a student from Ghana want to come to Nigeria? The same reason why so many Nigerian students are going to Ghana, we can actually start to show the possibilities and all of the opportunities that Nigeria also has. So that's also part of the things that we're trying to do. And that's our Nigerian arm is launching this year, where we're going to be onboarding quite a number of Nigerian universities. And as we follow our story, we'll start to launch all of those other offers and options. Definitely, there's a very, very high reception. Like I said, we've not just started this business. We just digitized a business that we've been doing for quite some years. So now, instead of having to look for a travel agent or an education agent, all you just go on pavehq.com. We've simplified the process for people. The truth is that you cannot stop people from getting an education, just like you cannot stop people from visiting other countries. If you see a demand for something, you build a product that fits into that demand. We've seen a demand for foreign education, we've seen a demand for international education, and we've seen the need for what we call brain circulation. Some people would argue that our platform is brain drain. With or without our platform, people will still look for ways to study abroad. We're just making it easier and more collective for people to do it. And it is not brain drain. Like I said, we call it brain circulation, because brain drain is the fact that students don't get into universities. That's the brain drain. The brain circulation is the fact that we're able to place them into any university for them to study the actual programs that they want. Because if you realize, with most Nigerian students in universities, there's always this conversation of, they gave me this subject. So our students are not particularly even studying the courses that they want to study. A high percentage of our students in Nigerian universities are studying programs that they actually don't want to study, and studying programs that the universities are giving them. So these are some of the problems that we're trying to solve, to ensure that people are studying what it is that they have a passion for, what they want to study, so that even their learning outcomes. Because when someone studies a program that they are not really interested in, and they do that program for 4 years, you don't expect them to come out and say they want to do a job in a program that they did not study. Someone wants to study medicine, you are giving them zoology. The person doesn't even have any love for animals, for example, and then they are graduating with a zoology degree that they can, they don't know how to apply that degree, because they just went to university and made sure that they came out with a degree. So the platform is to help people make more informed decisions and better informed decisions, and also track their life cycle, so that by the time every student is graduating, at least they have a high chance of either getting a job or starting their own business. So we don't just leave them at the admission stage and place them into university. We also help them by giving them even additional courses, upskilling programs, internship opportunities, so that by the time you are graduating from university, you can say you have X amount of years of work experience, even while you were schooling and all of that. So those are some of the advantages that we have on our platform. So one of the things that we've done is we've partnered with other fintech organizations. We have our sister platforms where we're currently in conversations with people like Fincra. We're talking to Leatherback. So we're integrating our solutions with third-party platforms to also help students make that decision. Obviously, we're not the central bank, so we cannot go against any kind of central bank policy. We have to follow through with whatever the central bank has set as their own policies. But what we'll do is we ensure that instead of you having to go to a malam to go and find money or whatever, we have done the platform would help you so you can pay your money directly. So the issue is not really about the forex, it's about the affordability. So if you know that you can afford a foreign education, our platform is there to help you to ensure that you go through that process seamlessly. But for those who can afford it, we're also positioning ourselves to also find the best way to get them into Nigerian universities. So it's not just a foreign platform, it's a full-blown educational solution. Now, the other thing that we're also doing is we're building the platform to also help our Nigerian universities recruit better. So what are the matrices that schools use to admit students? Say, for example, 20,000 students or 50,000 students apply to Unilag. How is Unilag able to sort out all of those students' documents? So we have built that would help Unilag or whatever university digitize that whole process. So from one central view, you can literally view all of the students who have applied, which of them meets the cutoff marks, which of them meet all of the requirements, and use a percentile idea or ideology to ensure that we are able to admit the people who meet our admission requirements and fit into the programs, and also reduces the stress on schools so that they don't just make random decisions. Only been running for 1 year. We launched last year, January. So Pave has only been running for 1 year. And in the last 1 year, we have seen tremendous growth, over 170% growth since we launched. We've done good revenue, at least good enough revenue for a company that is partly bootstrapped. We're also positioning ourselves for investments, so we are cash flow positive. So that shows good positioning in the market, and it shows that our product is actually valuable. We're a startup, so we're working on our pre-seed round currently. Our pre-seed round, where we're trying to get some pre-seed investment from angels, VCs, and anybody that sees our business and thinks that we're doing something that matches with their own investment portfolio or their investment terms or thesis. So, like I said, we are cash flow positive, but we are trying to, as a startup, our goal is to accelerate the products, as quick as possible. So that's why we're also, calling on investors and reaching out to investors to see, if they can be part of our journey. Locally, from a platform perspective or from a digital perspective, we're currently serving that market. We have a very good position in that market, but internationally, definitely we have competitors. We have companies in Egypt, Kenya, and a few other places across Africa, and also abroad, platforms like Applyboard and the rest of them. But we know, so one of the things that we have is experience. Before we built this platform, we had spent 12 years doing this business. So we definitely have the experience. In terms of partnerships, we also have one of the most, if not the most, partnerships in the market today, both directly and indirectly. And then our long-term value. Most of the platforms that we will call our competitors only have a one directional model to their business, and one directional meaning that they serve the international education sector. They help students to get admission and get placed into the university. But we have a more long-term value, where after you get placed into the university, we're still hand-holding you. We're still there for you to ensure that after you are done while you're in the university, we are providing options for you for internships. We're doing exchange programs, and we're also suggesting courses and programs from our other partner universities where students can upskill. So we're more of an ecosystem than just a one-directional product. So that's the advantage for us. And even when you're done with university as well, we're also there to help you with the next step. So if you are done with your undergraduate and you want to go for masters, based on the fact that you've been on our platform and we understand how you have how your educational journey has gone, we're able to use all of that data to also suggest options for you if you want to go for university. And also we're working with companies as well, whereby after you are done, because you've used our platform, we have access to your transcripts, we have access to most of your documents, your materials. It's easy for us, very, very easy for us to also place you into jobs. So these are some of our unique advantages. My child, I wish you both things. Right now, in the whole group, we're about 42. But for Pave, we're hitting 30 currently, or 20. Yeah, 30. About 30 of us now from the last count, because we're also currently hiring. So we're about 30 of us. In terms of job creation, because we're a technology platform, we're focused more on our use of technology than job creation. We're not going to scale by having a team of 10,000, 20,000 people. We just never know. But our business is set up in such a way that we want to scale with technology. All right, so we want to just continue to build our technology to service more and more people within our system. And if that would require us employing more people, we're definitely going to do that. But we don't have a plan for scaling numbers to say, we want to reach 1,000 employees. But what we want to do is we want to ensure that we are able to provide our service and our products to as many people as possible. Prosper.
But when you look around at all the
so we're currently registered in Nigeria and also registered in the US as well. We have a product segment for the US market. We're currently looking at, before the end of Q2, we're going to open in about 3 other locations across Africa. So we're looking at East Africa, Rwanda particularly. We're also looking at South Africa, somewhere between Mozambique, most likely. And then we're also looking at North Africa as well, to capture that we're able to capture the whole African market. And after that, we spread to other regions globally.
successful people in history, they are all great readers.
So to be honest, I think the first challenge, I think would be people, getting people to, the right people that fit into most of our job descriptions and our job roles. That's one. Second challenge, I guess, will be around policies. We definitely would need to work more with government and ensure that there are policies that surround students and how students, because sometimes students are waiting year on year, 4 years, 3 years before they get into university. Sometimes some of them give up and they're on the street somewhere, or they just don't know what to do with their lives, and that can really destroy people's visions, right? So some people want to get into university, finish their program, get a job, or start a business, or whatever that is. So we are ready to work with government and any other partner to make sure that we're able to solve those challenges. It's not everything that we would solve with technology, but a good number of our solutions or our problems can be solved with technology. So I would believe that those are the 2 major things. Obviously funding would help us to grow really, really fast. But that's the startup nature of the space that we are. So definitely funding is also a challenge. And yeah, I think I'll just leave it at those.
You see, they read and they work hard.
So what wasn't favorable before is currently being tested, which is TNE, that's transnational education. And transnational education being that now they're working on a policy now where foreign universities can come and establish themselves here. Because the truth is, let's not lie to ourselves. Like, why are we stopping foreign universities that are bringing foreign direct investment into our country, and we're saying that universities cannot come and have locations here and give degrees here? But that is changing now, so that's a good thing. That's a positive side to the policy issue. Now, the other thing, the other policy that I think is the problem is the requirements and recommendations for people to set up universities here. We see that to set up a university, they're telling you must have 100 acres of land, you must have this, you must have that. But there are people that have the knowledge and the whole university space is defragmented now. We are seeing a lot of online learning. We are seeing a lot of all of those things coming up. And if we can have more of that, I think will be the barrier to entry into universities will be a lot more reduced than it is right now.
Nowadays, you like things to go easy for you, and I don't.
So success is big deal for us, and success for us does not mean anything outside of ensuring that to meet the needs of our clients. People want to go to school, people want to get an education. Our platform is only just helping them to search and apply to the schools that they actually want to go. So we're happy to have as many Nigerian universities come over on our platform, because there are so many things that is hindering students from getting into universities. Number one, we're looking at, a student will write WAEC, a student will write JAM. After the WAEC and JAM, then they still go and write post UTME. These are all barriers to entry, right? And it reduces the number of students that are able to get into university. And then also digitization. All Nigerian universities need to find a way to digitize their programs and their courses. I mean, we're in a new technology age now where if a student cannot get into a particular university, they should be able to take online programs. Some schools are already doing it. We're seeing the distance learning institutes being set up in a couple of schools, but we should have it so pronounced that if you cannot take 100,000 people or 20,000 people into a particular semester. Let some be online, let some be on campus, and they can always have that option to choose whether they want to be online or on campus. So these are some of the things that I think that I would suggest that government should do more of. And it's something that we're really pushing for. And if they need our support in any way, we're also able and happy to support government to ensure that these policies and these ideas are come to fruition, because we have the technology to deliver some of those things.
I don't know when you read, you go about all the press.
Someone I think has mentored me a lot, especially in the space of leadership and purpose. I would say, because I read books, I would say John Maxwell for sure. Miles Monroe is another person that I really follow a lot. I've listened to almost every single thing that Miles Monroe has put out there. So those are role models that I think I would say, or mentors that I think I would say. So yeah, just leave it at that.
Your phones, and I don't know how you pass your examination.
Like I said, I don't see that as brain drain. I would argue with anybody that sees people trying to move out of the country to get a better life. And if we look back at history, this has happened a lot of times, right? This is not the first time it has happened. There was a time in the 70s it happened, in the 90s it happened. So it will continue to happen because people need, globalization is a thing. Right, people move out of the countries for different reasons, but the question is, what is their reason for doing it, and what is government doing about it? We're currently, overpopulated as a nation in terms of when you look at the infrastructure that we have as a nation compared to the amount of people. Number one, we don't have enough schools to meet up the education requirements. We don't have enough hospitals. We don't have good enough roads to meet with the number of cars and vehicular movement that's happening. So if we look at all of these things, I think it's really for government to work on making a sustainable and an enabling environment for people. At the end of the day, life is all about survival, right? Where everyone wants a place where they can survive. Everyone wants a good environment where they can raise their kids. And if people see their current situation and are not happy with their current situation, it's okay for people to change their situation, as long as they're not going there to be illegal immigrants and to be a nuisance in the economy. These are people that are going there to improve themselves. If you look at a lot of our government officials, and all of that, they all have one or two stints of them going abroad to either study a course, do a program. It's globalization. That's what it's all about. It's just like saying a country would only trade within itself. They are not going to succeed. You have to start to export some of the goods that you have, and talent export is also one of the most important things. So they're not going out to study. What are they going out to do? All these other countries that are taking Nigerians and where Nigeria, they are going by talent. So it's that you're going for education, you're going there to showcase your talent, and that is an industry. Outsourcing industry, it's an industry, but Nigeria has not found a way to harness that industry, and that's one of the things that Pave is doing. So we're not just an education platform. That's why the name is called Pave, for you to pave your way to success, whether it's through education, through work, whatever it is that you want to do. We're creating a technology solution that can help you make that movement and make that decision, informed decision. So there is no country that can ever ban people from going abroad to go and have a better life, or it's freedom of movement, just like we have freedom of speech. So what Nigeria needs to do is to ensure that they have everything, the enabling environment to ensure that people's livelihoods are met, as opposed to screaming foul and saying that there is a brain drain. I will give an example of India. When India saw that so many people were leaving their country to go to the US and to other countries to go and study IT programs and all of those kind of things, what did they do? They decided to build IITs. That's International Institutes of Technology. That's why you see one of the best universities in the world in technology right now is IIT Madras, which is an Indian university. So across all the regions in India, they saw that their population was growing. Obviously, because of the large population growth, they could not, their infrastructure could not, cover everybody. So yes, you're free to move wherever you want to, but just know that our institutions can also accommodate you as well. So they built more institutions, they built more IITs, where they now started running an outsourcing economy where people will outsource their technology to Indians, because within India, a lot of people can live in India, earn whatever amount of money that they're going to earn outside. But at the end of the day, we see that it even goes past money. So it goes past what they're earning. Some people might earn $5,000 but still feel like Nigeria is not the place for them. So if you have that money in your pocket, would that money save you when you want to go to an hospital, for example, and they tell you that they don't have one facility or the other? It's not going to save you at that moment. So it's not really just about the money and the income. It's about creating an all-round enabling environment for people to, have a very good livelihood. Okay, so I think my first advice is for you to understand the markets, right? The markets that you are going into. Like I said earlier, I spent 13 years in this business before I decided to build a product. But now the whole startup craze, everybody wants to build a startup, everybody wants to launch a startup with very little industry experience. So I think a little bit of depth of knowledge. So go and start a job somewhere in an industry where you want to solve a problem. You cannot understand a problem from the outside. You need to get into the industry for you to understand what the problems are. So, for example, you're a young entrepreneur, you want to do something in fintech. If you want to do something in fintech, work in a fintech organization, or work in a bank, understand money policies, understand the things that surround those policies, as opposed to just building a platform where you're integrating with so many people, because we don't have so many core businesses right now these days. It's just somebody building an interface that is mirroring some other technology at the background, and they call themselves a technology company. So, but before, if you want to be sustainable and if you want to sustain yourself in the industry, try as much as possible to get as much industry experience as you can over the course of maybe 2 to 3 years, and understand the business and how the business evolves. Because if you build a product too early and you don't understand the market, there's something called evolution in every industry. Once that industry evolves, then your product is dead, because you have no knowledge of the industry. You only know about a bit of the problem of the industry. So I think depth of knowledge is one of the things that I'll encourage young entrepreneurs to have depth of knowledge of the problem you are solving and your customer persona. Who are the people you are trying to sell this product to? You should be able to define your customer persona, and also have an ecosystem approach, because if one person is not paying you, because your customers can always change, your customers can always vary. So I think for the summit, I think one of the most important things that we should focus on is how startups generate revenue generation, and being cash flow positive, because we see a lot of startups trying to raise money. They come with the product, they have the idea and all of that, but they are not making money. So, and that happens because they have not tested out their product or tested out their service, and it doesn't help them in terms of revenue generation. So one of the things I think you can help do is maybe have like a little boot camp on the day of your event, where someone comes to tell people about how to identify their customers, and also generate revenue from their customers. Have how to put your best foot forward, how to have your differential value proposition. That okay, what makes you different from every other person in the market. So those are the things. Some people just think it's price. It's not about price. It's not really about offering free transfers. Before startups came, no bank was doing free transfer, and nobody was complaining about it. Right, everybody was, and then we have other fintechs come up and say, "Oh, transfer to any this thing at €0." All of those kind of things. They are able to do that because they've raised some money, and they are balancing that money one way or the other. But it's not everybody that can do that. So if you continue to compete on price, it's going to be one lower price and then another until you get to zero. Then who's making money? But compete on value. Be able to showcase whatever value your product is giving, and I think in your events you should be able to help people to think about how to position their products and how to position their brands for revenue generation. So passing words, I think every founder should be true to themselves. You should always tell yourself the truth about your product. Try to listen. Try to listen to suggestion. Don't be an almighty founder that does not listen to anything anybody has to say. That's why you have people around you to help you, to caution you and help you put your product in the right direction. That'll be my number 2. And number 3, I think build for the future. Any product that will be sustainable or that would have a long-term value has to think about the future in mind. Who is your customer base? What are your customer base doing now? And what will they be doing in the next 5 years? So be able to ensure that your product is sustainable enough for your customers to be able to continue to use your product and get feedbacks as much as possible. Customer feedback is very, very important. It will help you build your product better, and it will help you position your product better for a larger market. So that would be my passing words.
I read and do all my reading on my phone. Down from the time when man was breaking stones and hunting games, things have continued to be easier. Easy does it that. All those books are now in e-copies, soft copies, easy to read and download. Is it not just to be rich? I know tomorrow will be easier than today.
You mean Facebook is your book? I'ma show you where look I am. I'ma show you where look I am. I'ma show you where